Hello and welcome to this week's live video. I'm going to be focusing on the attitude of non-striving. So this video is going to be a little bit unusual because I am really going to be focusing on the Qigong much more than the mindfulness meditation. Because the attitude of non-striving is much better experienced, demonstrated, understood through the practice of Qigong than it is through the practice of meditation. So today is a good time to remember that Qigong, when practiced, I'm not going to say properly, but practicing Qigong is very mindful, because as you practice the moves, you should be very much focused on being mindful of your breath, and what your breath is doing and what your body is doing. So in a way it's a kind of moving meditation, which is really why I use it so much in my sessions, because it brings mindfulness into people who, if you ask them to sit and meditate for 30 minutes, would, look at me as if they thought I'd gone bonkers and say, well, I can't do that. So let's, without any further ado, get into it. So we'll start. Now I'm going to demonstrate this standing, obviously. But if you need to sit, that's fine. I will amend the instructions for those who are seated. But first of all, whether you're sitting or standing, I'd just like you to sit or stand quite normally, so feet together in a normal posture for you. And then I'd like you to bring your right hand across your body with the palm up. Bring your left hand across your body with the palm down. And bow. Okay, so if you're standing, step out with your left foot so your feet are about a hip width apart. If you're seated, just move your feet so they're about a hip width apart. And the first thing I want you to do is to send your awareness down to your feet, especially if you're standing. And I want you to make sure that your weight is evenly distributed through your feet so that you're standing as upright as possible. Now, if you're seated, obviously your feet aren't taking your weight, but you can still send your awareness down to that contact between your feet and the floor, and just be aware of if there's more pressure on one part of your foot than another. Then bring your awareness up to your knees. Now, if you're standing, just let these relax quite gently. If you're seated, obviously they're going to be at probably a 90-degree angle. That's okay. Then I want you to bring your awareness up to these muscles here, these core abdominal muscles. Now, if you're standing, can you kind of gently tuck your bum in and just engage these muscles? Don't try too hard. Just do what works for you. But at the very least, can you be aware of these muscles? Because these exercises that we do, the Qigong moves that we do, are all about moving your energy around in your body to keep your energy flowing, because in traditional Chinese medicine, that is seen as the route to good health. Now, we all know we need a good blood flow for our bodies to be healthy, which means we know that we need a nice healthy heart. Your Qi is moved by these muscles here. So it's important that we use these muscles as much as possible. Now, if you're seated, if you can, give a gentle pelvic tilt. but just do what you can. Now, whether you're seated or standing, let's get your back as straight as you possibly can. If you're seated, if you can, move your back away from the back of the chair if your chair has got a back, so that your spine is supporting your head and neck. Again, don't try and do too much. Don't do anything that causes you pain or discomfort. Be mindful of the signals that your body is sending you. Then think about your neck. Make sure that's as straight as it can be. And then, since when you tell people to straighten their neck, they tip their heads back, just tuck your chin in, because you want the crown of your head to be pointing up at the ceiling. Then relax your shoulders. Okay. So you've got yourself into this position. I just want you to take a few moments to just breathe. Just breathe and get used to this new position, particularly if it's one that you're not used to being in. Just breathe. Let your breath flow around your body. Try to keep things nice and easy. But just get this sense of tuning into your body with your breath. And using this time when you're tuning in just to see if there's any bits of your body that are sending you signals of pain or discomfort. Maybe also tune into your mind. Just get a sense of how you'd like to feel at the end of this session. And then we'll do a grounding visualization. So, I'd like you to imagine that you're in a lift. And this lift is going up. Now, you've probably, like me, been in a few lifts in your time. But this lift is unlike any you've ever been in. It's big. It's almost luxurious. As it moves, you realise you're hardly aware of the movement. And the motor is so quiet, it's almost like a Rolls-Royce engine. There's another unusual thing about this lift as well. It's got glass walls. So I want you to go over to those glass walls and look out. And you realise you're looking out over the most beautiful countryside. And you start to feel relaxed and calm. And then, when you're ready, gently allow your lift to float back down to the ground again. Maybe every time you breathe out, just allow your lift to float down one floor until you reach the ground. Okay, this is now where we're going to start really looking at the non-striving. I want you to think about your arms. Let them hang really loose by your side. Let your hands be soft and open. And I'd like you to get the sense that your arms are almost completely weightless. So any movement they make is going to be in response to the movement of your breath and the slight movement of muscles that causes. And I want you to bring your attention once more to these muscles here, these core muscles. Let your arms hang loose. And as you breathe in and out, can you get a sense that these core muscles are expanding on the in-breath and then relaxing back on the out-breath? So with every in-breath, these muscles expand and then they contract. Visualize and try to feel that motion. Try to get a sense of how that expansion has an effect on all the muscles above it. So as you breathe in, with your arms hanging loose and light and almost weightless, as you breathe in, they just naturally start to move. So you're not making any effort, it's just happening all by itself. It may only be a very small movement, but there's a world of difference between what I'm doing now and what most of you probably do, which is an intentional move of your arms up like that. Put a strain on your shoulders. Your shoulders shouldn't really be doing anything. Your shoulders should just be allowing your arms to float out in front and up slightly. There should be no effort involved in this. Be aware of shoulders, make sure they're relaxed. Be aware of those abdominal muscles, make sure that you're using them in the best possible way. So breathe in, let your arms float up, breathe out, and they sink back down. We'll do this move twice more. As you breathe out, your arms float down at the bottom, relax and let go. Now before we go on to the next move, I want you to do a quick body scan. How are your shoulders feeling? If you're aware of a slight tension in your shoulders, that means that you've been actively moving your arms rather than letting them flow, and that's not what this is about. This isn't about striving, is when you actively lift your arms as far as you can, trying to make the move big. But that isn't the point of Qigong. The point of Qigong is to just let your breath and your body flow in harmony with everything just responding to what's going on here in your body. And that's what non-striving is about. Okay, so take a moment, send your awareness down to your feet. Check that your weight is still evenly balanced. Take a moment to make sure that you're happy with your posture, that it's as good as it possibly can be. And then we'll go on to move 2, which starts the same. So as you breathe in, your hands float up like they did before, but then feel the expansion of your chest and lungs and allow that to let your arms move apart. And then as you breathe out, that relaxation lets your hands float back in and back down. Again, there should be no effort involved in this. Don't push. Don't think you've got to make this move as big as possible. What I want you to do is to feel your breath, feel those abdominal muscles, and just let your arms move in response. I often say small is beautiful in Tai Chi. Only move your arms as high as you're happy with. If you become aware that something's causing tension in your shoulders, dial it back. You may have to actively relax your shoulders. That's what this is about. It's not about making a big move. It's about letting the move flow from what your body and your breath are happy to do. And we'll do this move twice more. As you breathe out, let your hands gently float down. And again, take a moment just to make sure that you're happy with your posture, that your weight is still evenly distributed across your feet. Check your shoulders are relaxed. Remember, this is not about forcing a move, it's about letting your body move with your breath in a way that is comfortable for you. So the next move is painting rainbows. So this time as you breathe in, let your arms float up. Now be very aware of your shoulders. And you take your arms as high as your shoulders are happy to go. If that means you can get your hands up there without hunching your shoulders, go for it. If that's as high as you can take, then that's fine. And as you breathe out, gently shift your weight slightly to the left, keeping your back upright. And then let your right arm uncurl to provide a counterbalance. And then as you breathe in, everything comes back to the centre. If you're seated, instead of shifting your weight slightly, raise the heel on the same side as the arm that's going out. If you can only make a small movement with your arms, that's fine. Just keep everything flowing with your breath and with your body. Do one more move on each side. Breathe in, everything comes to the centre, then turn your palms out. As you breathe out, let your hands sweep down by your side. Then as you breathe in, let your arms float up. Again, as you breathe out, be aware of those core abdominal muscles relaxing down. And as you breathe in, imagine them expanding, feel them expanding, and let that expansion be what sends your arms up. Again, there should be no effort in your shoulders. It should just naturally flow from your breath and from your body. Don't push yourself, just let everything happen as it naturally wants to. Be aware of your shoulders. We'll do this move twice more. And as you breathe out, let your hands gently float all the way back down. At the bottom, relax and let go. Again, take a moment to make sure you're happy with your posture. Getting a bit warm. Let your shoulders relax. Make sure your hands and feet are relaxed, no tension in them. Check your weight is evenly distributed. Check these core abdominal muscles. Just give a gentle tuck your bum in. And the next move is going to really use these core abdominal muscles. I'm going to do a move we don't normally do. So bring your hands up in front of you. Palms up. Arms still relaxed. Shoulders still relaxed. Then as you breathe in, I want you to turn from the waist. That means keeping your hips, knees and toes in a straight line. As you breathe in, turn, and as you breathe in, let one hand gently drift out to one side. And as you breathe out, you turn back to the centre and the hand comes back in. Then do the same on the other side. Be very conscious that you're trying to use these muscles here to turn. It may be difficult. If it is, don't turn very far. Don't strive too hard. Just do what your body's happy to do. And if that's all the move you can make, fantastic. And we'll do one more move on each side. So we'll do one more move on this side. And then last move. As you breathe out, your hands come back into the centre. And then keep your hand in that same position as we get ready to balance your chi. So as you breathe in, allow your hands to float over that imaginary ball, and as you breathe out, push it down. Keep this move very small. There's almost no upward movement at all. As you breathe in, feel those abdominal muscles expanding. As you breathe out, feel them contracting. Just let your hands and arms do what is driven by those muscles. Do this move twice more. And this time as you breathe out, let your hands come to rest in front of your belly button, in your lap or by your side, whatever's comfortable for you. Again, take a moment to make sure that you're happy with your posture. And then I want you to just breathe. That sense of everything settling back to where it should be. And when you're ready, let your hands float down. Bring your right foot, left foot in towards your right. And we'll bow out as we bowed in. Okay. So, as I've said, non-striving is one of the foundational attitudes of mindfulness. And in many respects, Qigong, practiced as it should be done, actually sums up that attitude. Because you shouldn't be pushing your body. You should be just allowing, be mindful of what your body wants to do and allowing it to do that without pushing it too far. Qigong is based in traditional Chinese medicine, and it's got a strong link with Taoism. And in Taoism there is a principle called Wu Wei, which is best described as inactive action, which is a very difficult concept to get in many respects. But the best illustration of inactive action is if you think of a rock in a river. The rock is there, the river just runs over it. And eventually, by the simple act of doing what is natural to it and just literally flowing, the water over time will wear away that rock. So the Wu Wei principle is of allowing nature and what is natural to just happen in its own time. Now, there's a very good reason why I picked this particular attitude to focus on in today's video, in this weekend's video, because given the situation that most of us are in at this time, when we are leading a much more confined life, there is inevitably going to be a feeling that we should be doing more. That you've got to find things to do to fill your day. And yes, it is important that you do things that keep your mind active and also keep your body active. Qigong is great exercise, and the full Shibashi set, which I don't demonstrate in these videos because they aren't long enough, has been shown to be just as beneficial for your heart as a Zumba class. Just saying. So it's just, it is exercise, but I'm not saying that you don't need to go for walks or use your exercise bike or do star jumps in the garden or join in with Joe Wick, who I haven't yet seen. I really must give him a look at what he does. So yes, physical exercise is important. Mental exercise is important to keep everything working properly. I have a mantra. It's very simple. It's called use it or lose it. So, but the Wu Wei principle is about sometimes allowing things to happen. If we try too hard, sometimes we can make things worse. And right now, it's important to remember that just because you're confined in the house, I mean, it's not too bad for me. They're just me and my husband. We're both happy with quiet times. But if you've got a load of kids and a husband and you're not used to spending time together, there's an awful impetus to try and find things to do. And what I want you to take away from what you've looked at today is that you don't have to put too much effort into finding things to do. Just be prepared sometimes to stand back and just let things happen. Obviously, if you're a parent, be prepared to stop it. Be prepared to step in and stop a disaster. I'm not saying leave the kids unsupervised, but don't push yourself too hard to try and think of things to keep the kids occupied. Actually, boredom can be a very good means of getting the kids or anyone's creative juices going. A bit of boredom can be quite constructive, so don't feel you've got to rush around and find things for everybody to do all the time. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to have quiet time for the sake of it. And, if everyone can find a space where they can just be on their own and just sit and be, or do something quietly, read a book, meditate. I'm a big believer in meditation, but I know it's very difficult to do, which is why I do Qigong and why I demonstrate these videos, because the movements are very mindful. And when you're doing the movements, you've always got a focus for your mind that, you're trying to scan through your body, make sure that you're doing everything in the best way. A very useful thing to do if the idea of sitting and meditating just makes you go into a blue funk. And I know that there are people like that. So, this has been a rather different video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've found it interesting. I'll be doing another one next week because I do these weekly. And in the meantime, if you've got any ideas for things you'd like me to look at, either in the meditation or in during the actual Qigong session, then do please let me know. These are your sessions. Obviously, I enjoy doing them, or I wouldn't be doing them, and I get a lot from them. But it's not about me enjoying it; it's about you getting a way to enjoy it yourself. One thing before I close, what I was getting you to do with your core abdominal muscles, that's something that's really, really good to practice. And if you can't do anything else, then I'm just going to stand back and demonstrate a quick exercise that you can do. So get yourself into a nice hip width stance. Engage these core muscles. Let your arms hang loose, and then just make a small turn from the waist. Turning from the waist means keeping your hips, knees and toes all lined up, so you're just moving the upper part of your body. Just make a small turn from the waist, just as big as you're comfortable with. And as you get more used to it and you can make a larger movement, you may very well find that your arms naturally start to swing. That's non-striving in action. You're working from here as much as you want to, and because you're working from there and everything else is loose, the rest of your body starts to follow and do things. If you can't do anything else, just stand and turn from the waist for a couple of minutes a day. And that in itself can be very mindful. The other thing that you can do to build mindfulness into your day right now is mindful hand washing, because that 20 seconds of washing, you get into a routine. Use that 20 seconds that you're having to use so often to make it 20 seconds of mindfulness. And by that, what I mean is really be aware of the feel of the water on your hands, really appreciate the lather that you're making, really be aware of the feel of your skin on skin as you move your hands around. Really notice how far the bubbles have spread, you know, all that. And you can easily, every time you wash your hands, have 20 seconds of mindfulness without you having to take any time out of your day. And in many ways, that is non-striving in a nutshell. You're taking something that you have to do, wash your hands, and turning it into a mindful movement. Thank you for watching, and if you've got any ideas what you'd like me to do next week, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.